your Instagram feed. Now, I know that you are tired, that you are busy, and that most of us are not huge fans of the old selfie. But I read a quote recently that basically said, "Look, when you signed up to have your own business, you signed up to do whatever it takes to represent that business well and effectively." Now, if you have a company with lots of people and a company pet and all kinds of things, you can turn the camera elsewhere. But if you are a solopreneur, if it's just you, then you are by default the face of your company, and you may not feel like a supermodel, but you got to work with it, because people buy from people, and folks are going to need to connect with you in order to build that trust. So I know you're here for photo tips, and certainly every photo does not need to be a selfie. That gets a bit tedious, but you are going to need to be able to take some photos both at work and outside of work to create that connection with your audience. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm taking you to selfie school. For those of you who don't know, I started on social media when I got into direct sales. I worked for a makeup company, and let me tell you, it felt like everybody in the company was much younger, much perkier, much less wrinkled than I, certainly thinner. And so it was really intimidating for me to represent my brand as me. I really wanted to do the thing that you've seen everybody else do. I wanted to pull somebody else's photo and share it, but that's not who my friends and family are connected to. They're connected to me. And the reality is that my friends and family are well aware of this situation. It drives me absolutely crazy, but that dude right there loves me with it or without it. And so I just need to remember that these vanity things that bother me are not a big deal to the people who care about me. So don't be so critical. So we're going to go through selfie school number 1. You need good light. I am sitting by a window. I often stand in front of a window. I hold my phone above my face, not in outer space. I mean, come on, there's only so much that we can do. But I like for my phone to look down. There is a setting that is called portrait, and it blurs the background. That almost always looks better than whatever's in the background. That can get kind of distracting. I'm not a huge fan of taking the photo in the mirror. I think that looks kind of awkward. So turn your camera around so that you're looking at it. What I have found, I have the iPhone 12 Max, is that sometimes trying to get to this button down at the bottom is awkward. So I use the button on the side. It will flash the photo. I look directly at the camera, bump, 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 and then I try different, angles and sides and whatever. So that's how you take a great selfie. Do not ever look down at your I don't care who you are. That's going to make you look like Jabba the Hutt. It's really unattractive on me, but it doesn't look good on anybody. So take it from above the chin on up. And again, lighting is really important. We're going to talk about that next. Well, no, we're not. We're going to talk about the portrait setting next. As I said, that's the one that blurs the background. Unless you are in front of something awesome. And there are lots of great backgrounds when you're out and about. Pay attention to if there's a great, it really doesn't matter if there's a great wall that you can get a photo. If there's you've seen, think about the places where people take like their senior photos and that kind of stuff. You find an old truck, you're out at the farmer's market, take advantage of being out in public places where there's a great background, maybe a floral wall, maybe a display, maybe around some mannequins, maybe an old truck, farm equipment, whatever. Use what's behind you to create a great photo. You can always crop it if you don't get it exactly straight, and avoid the temptation. Your photos, especially for business, do not need to be completely centered. Dun, dun. often you're going to put a caption or something on it. And so you're going to want a little dead space beside so that you could put a caption beside it. So you don't always have to be in the frame right in the center in that way. So sometimes by design, you're going to want it a little off center. Number 3, natural light is really important. It's best if you can find, if you're near a window. That's one of the reasons why my desk is where my desk is. You can see reflected the plants outside, but I have specifically chosen this spot because I don't have to use artificial light during the day. My skin's going to look a whole lot better if I've got natural light coming at me. There are certain spots in my yard where I prefer to take photos because the light hits and it's not so harsh that I get weird shadows, but it's not so dark that I don't get a good picture. So whenever possible, use natural light. Any overhead light is going to give you a different coloring. Sometimes it's a more yellow glow. Sometimes it's a little more blue. Sometimes it's so bright that it kind of washes you out. And so you're going to find that actually sometimes an overcast day is even better because you'll get just the right light. But anytime that you're going to take a photo, make sure that the light is in front of you and not behind, because unless you are going for some very special effect, you're going to get some weird haloing, and it can make you look really, really dark because the light is, the lens picks up that light. Number 4, watch for shadows. How many times have you seen a really cute photo of somebody, but their phone is leaving a big whatever on their face, a big shadow? So pay attention to that unless you are deliberately trying to get a cool shadow shot, or, which is often really sweet if you do a shadow shot with, say, mother and child, or a family photo where you're taking a photo of the shadows, but you don't want a shadow on your face. That doesn't look awesome. Number 5, I'm a big fan of coming at stuff from different angles. If you have ever watched the precious children out and about taking photos for their Instagram, you will find that a lot of times they are coming at stuff from very different angles. They're actually their boyfriends are, they're climbing up on stuff to shoot down. They're laying on the ground to shoot up. But even if you're doing something out in the field and you're trying to take a photo, take it from 3 or 4 different angles. You may find when you get inside, especially because sometimes it's hard to take photos out in the sunlight and see what you're getting. So I always like to take multiple shots and come at it from different sides. Sometimes I'll be so focused on what I'm trying to take the picture of that I don't see what all's around it. And so let's say I'm trying to get, one of the flowers in my flower bed. I won't notice that there's some junk on the ground, or we have a wall in the backyard and it's not well painted. We didn't have anything to do with the painting of it, but it's not attractive. And so I don't like to get that wall in my photos. But if I'm really focused on just trying to get that flower, I may miss and get some of that wall on, which is okay if I've got the portrait setting on where it's kind of blurring the background. But if I don't, I'm just not a big fan of that wall. Maybe someday I will repaint it. Number 6, take burst pics, especially if there's some action going on. Take a burst, because if you are taking a photo and you catch somebody with their mouth open or their eyes closed or whatever, if you take the burst, you've got a better shot of getting one photo where everybody is sort of there. Doesn't have to be posed. As a matter of fact, Instagram photos probably shouldn't look posed. They probably are, but they shouldn't look posed. There was a time when Instagram was really all about perfection. Now it's more about real life, about being genuine. And that's true for a business as well. Those slick corporate photos are not necessarily, they don't create the same connection that candids may. When I'm looking at selfies, or photos, let's forget the word selfie. Let's say I'm looking at photos. I am usually more attracted to a photo in which it's really clear somebody is genuinely laughing than a photo where it's clearly posed. So try and catch those real moments, blowing out the candle, or laughing, or cutting up, or just about to take a bite, those kinds of things. Number 7, you can always crop out any distractions. Like I said, there's a wall that I'm not crazy about in the backyard. I like to take some photos in my backyard because that's actually one of my remote offices. But there's a rusty spot in particular on that wall that I'm not a big fan of. Well, if I like everything else in the picture except that rusty spot, there's just nothing to cropping that photo so that that's gone. So a lot of times you can fix a photo that's almost perfect just by cropping it. And then number 8 is try out some filters. If the color's a little bit off, if somebody's a little too light or dark, you can usually adjust that, or you can choose a filter that will adjust that for you. And so I'm trying to think of an example. There was a picture, it was a while back, of my husband and me, and he dips, and so he actually dips mint, not snuff, but he had a piece of snuff in his teeth. And the picture was great except for that one little speck on his teeth, and of course I'm hyper focused on it. But I found that if I changed the filter, I can't remember if it was black and white or sepia or something. If I changed the filter, it was not nearly as obvious as it was without a filter. And so that forgave some sins. So those are my 8 Instagram tips. I'm going to run back through them real quick. Number 1, take a selfie, take it from up high, use natural light, and try out different backgrounds. Number 2, use the portrait setting to blur the background unless you have a really great background that you want to be included as a part of the photo. Number 3, use natural light. Number 4, watch for shadows on your face. Number 5, try different angles. Number 6, take a burst of pictures and choose the best shot. Number 7, crop out any distractions. And number 8, try filters. Make sure you're taking photos regularly, in the office, of your workspace, anything. I mean, I'm telling you, any personal photo can create a connection. Your coworkers, I saw a really cute post where an entrepreneur who works pretty much on his or her own. I don't even remember if it was a girl or a guy, but they named their dog Employee of the Month every month. And I just thought that was the cutest thing. And, people were following along and congratulating Sparky on another stellar month and that kind of thing. It's just something really fun. Pet pictures carry. It's something that creates connection. It's a great idea. And so, constantly be looking for ways to share a little of your company's personality with the world. So often we get caught up in this needing to be professional kind of thing, and that's not what social media is about. Social media is about being social. And so creating these connections, these human connections is the whole ball game. And there's just almost no better way to do that than to share photos and video. So I will be back again tomorrow and we will talk about another aspect of Instagram and how to use it effectively for your business. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Okay, have a great day and I will see you again.